Hello, my friends, family, esteemed colleagues. We are going to talk today again about fasting because questions keep coming and comments about fasting and what is it with the dry fasting or wet fasting, how to go into the fast, how to prepare ourselves, how to get out of it. And of course, very often, we have all kinds of idea what fasting is. Now, fasting means not eating. Well, then you have these, I am doing intermittent fasting. I'm fasting 16 hours. Well, if you are not eating 16 hours, well, you are still eating every day. So if you consider eating once a day intermittent fast, then you can consider every space between meals fast. So most people are fasting 4 hours multiple times a day. Well, but this is not exactly what we understand or what we are talking about when we are mentioning fasting. So fasting means not eating for a longer period of time. So not eating 16 hours, that's still not a fast. Fast is when you don't eat several days. Skipping one whole day is 24 hours. So fasting from sundown Friday till sundown Saturday, well, this is still not fasting. This is just skipping your meals and having one meal a day. So now when we are talking about fasting, we are going to assume that the fasting is going to be multiple day not eating. Many people mention, I would say few, mention how great it is to dry fast, and its benefits are way above wet fasting. Well, here, when we are looking at it, it could be, because when we are drinking water and plasma, water and sea salt, still water can have pollutants, salt may have pollutants that you will have to take out. These pollutants may be causing reaction of your body to them. Now, what is the beauty behind the fast? When you stop eating, you are actually stopping putting toxins in your body. So when you stop drinking as well, you are eliminating possibility of toxin being in this water. And when we are not eating, we are forcing our body to basically survive on its food deposits. Of course, food deposits are not glucose because we don't have any. So food deposits is the fat. And since your cells are going to now have to survive by creating energy from fat of your body, your cells will properly start aligning genetically. So they will start adjusting amount of mitochondria that they need to produce the sufficient amount of energy so the cell can work. And as I have mentioned, it takes about 3 days of fasting, not eating, for the cells to adjust properly the mitochondria level, amount, to produce enough energy. that goes also for the brain, which means brain has to, why I mention brain separately always, because it is the highest energy consumer, and it requires huge amount of energy, which means when fat is being used, it requires huge amount of mitochondria per cell, up to 4,000, to produce enough power, enough electricity to run the brain. Basically to run your thoughts. Transmission is where you waste most of this stuff. So having this in consideration, we have to understand that the more carbohydrates you eat, less meat and fat you are eating, the more your cells are being reprogrammed to using glucose. So when you go into fast, when you stop eating, you are going to suffer. You're going to be extremely hungry, and you go into hypoglycemia, because you are putting your body in a stress situation, desperate need for energy. And your body is adjusted to receive this energy multiple times a day, munching on carbohydrates. Now, when they are not coming, you have very small amount of active mitochondria, so when your cells are being forced to use fat, they cannot produce enough energy. They produce a quarter of the energy that your cells required. Especially that goes for the brain. So what does brain do when it's underpowered? It starts shutting down. It goes tranquil. So you start feeling sleepy. But that, again, because other stuff is happening in the body, hunger, and we get into fear, anxiety, which is more energy demanding. So it's a very tough situation. So if you want to prepare yourself, and you are glucoholic, and you are vegan, well, this is a problem. Now in vegetarianism, veganism, two slightly different things. At least how I look at it, that vegetarians basically eat a lot of carbohydrates. And vegans are focusing also more to the raw vegetables. So more to the raw vegetable you are focused, then you are bringing less sugar. You are still forcing your cells to run on fat. But there is not enough nutrients coming. So you get skinny, you get frail. But it is easier in this day. Scott! So kick his ass. Sorry. My cat Scott is exercising his nails on my cushion over there. Smack him. Sorry about it. So for vegan, it is easier to go in the fast, because although they are eating vegetables, they are eating small amounts of carbs, processed vegetable, heated. So they are creating less fat, but as well they are forcing, since sugar is not readily available, so they are forcing their cells to keep mitochondria active, to use fat of the body to run the system. And when they go fasting, Well, they are not eating much to begin with. So now they start, because what they are eating, raw vegetables provide a zero, it's not 666, it's a zero amount of nutrients or energy. Cannot digest the stuff, it's pure cellulose. So if you are raw vegan, well, you are basically fasting all the time. The only time you have access to some nourishment is when you eat that little piece of rye bread or whole wheat bread, because or brown rice, because it is cooked carbohydrate, so broke cellulose, and you get some sugar coming in, which then your body uses for energy because it does not have enough fat. This is your only source of energy. So more carbs you are eating, more cooked processed carbs you are eating, the more sugar you are bringing. Some of it turns into fat, some of it serves to power your cells, and the more of it comes, the less mitochondria will be active. This is why you have vegans that eat once a day and they feel great. Only they are skinny, and in time they will collapse. Because remember that plants are defending themselves through toxic phenols and toxic proteins from predator. Scott! So, my beast over there, I have to show you this. That's Scott. And this is the pad over there, the blue one, is that he's ripping apart. Okay. So now, you know, more cooked carbohydrates, processed carbohydrates you are eating, the more difficult it is going to be for you to start a fast. And because you have low level of active mitochondria, and you will be you cannot produce enough energy from your fat, and it will take 3 days of your body to calibrate itself. So the first day of fasting will be terrible with headache, hypoglycemia. Second day you feel a little better because more mitochondria has activated, and the third day this levels and you start feeling good. If you are carnivore, then not eating one day makes no difference. Not eating 2 days makes no difference. Not eating 3 days, you basically don't feel any difference going into fast, except that you start losing weight. And this type of a fasting then, that shows you that fasting is really not necessary if you are carnivore, because there are no changes going on. With exception now, of course, you are giving your body a little break. Your digestion does not have to work. So you are retaining way more energy because the energy spent in digestion, then you start using for hydration and cleansing and reparation. So when you stop actually eating, when you go in a fast, you're allowing all the energy that your body has to be used basically for healing and cleansing processes. Now, how about the wet fast and dry fast? Anybody can safely do wet fasting, which means, but not with water. I recommend highly to use plasma, water with sea salt, because this way you provide minerals And while you are adjusting on genetic level your body to work correctly, you are empowering it to eliminate toxins. Now, especially people with mixed diets, so they eat meat, as most of us are doing, eating a little bit of carbs, meat, and whatever, depending on how much meat and how much carbs, doesn't really matter. But in general, because of incorrect diet, because this is an incorrect diet, almost same as veganism, vegetarianism. If you eat plenty, you are going to have a lot of stuff in your gut, in your intestines, because of eating overcooked meat. And this cannot break down, really. And you can get a lot of the food stuck inside intestines. Then remember, I was talking about biofilm being created, which is basically the mucus dried up a little bit and full of bacteria that helps breaking down the stuff that could not break down because it is incorrect food. Then all this, the biofilm, the biomass, is being stuck in your system. Now, if you are doing a wet fast, then how you do it? Well, I still recommend every morning, because at night, because brain is out of equation, you are going to do most of the cleansing. So toxic mucus is going to be accumulating in your stomach, in your intestines. So it's good. First thing in the morning, what you do is drink 1 liter to put a flood in your system. 1 liter of plasma, and just clock, clock, clock to flush it out. And then, whenever you feel hungry, drink more plasma. There is no particular limit. Drink as much as you want, whenever you want. You are not eating, you are just providing plasma. Plasma doesn't trigger digestion. But what is going to happen? It is going to be loosening the old stuff that you have in your intestines, and even though you are not eating anything, even a week after you stop eating, you still will have excrement coming out. Depending now of how much stuff is stuck in your gut, you will be cleansing this thing out. It will be dissolving, it will hydrating, dissolving, and you flush it out. And this is why I prefer wet fasting over dry fast. Now, what happens with dry fast? Some people say, no, it's great, and they have great results of it. Yeah, but who are these people? Those are people who eat less, who maintain their digestive system pretty clean. They even do cleanses occasionally. So they don't have this overload of garbage in digestive system. So when they don't drink anything, well, this all can be tranquil. But people who do have overburdened digestive system and they go into dry fast, this is very, very bad for them because it basically solidifies. It may even stop your intestines from moving. It basically clogs everything up. And later on, when you get out of fast, it is very difficult because your excrement is stone. It's so dry. In dry fast, you dry your body. There's no doubt about it. And if you dry your intestines while it is full of stuff, well, it turns into stones. Very hard substance. And when you start eating and when you start moving the intestines, it creates pain. So it could be very painful and very difficult to break fast. This is why if you want to do dry fasting, do first wet fast. And then after that, if you want, okay, stop drinking and do some dry fasting afterwards. Personally, I don't see any necessity of dry fasting, because what is it now? Now I explain how to get into fast. Okay, into the fasting is not a big deal, depending on what your diet is. It's best to first adjust yourself, so eat less carbohydrates. And if you are vegan or vegetarian, vegetarian can eat cheese and eggs at least, so eat some of it and try to raise number of active mitochondria before going into fast. It will be easier for you to start. Now, once when you are fasting, you are not eating. So with fast, just with drinking plasma, you will still be continuing cleansing. So you're going to urinate a lot, you're going to defecate, and you will feel great. When you, doesn't matter how many days, is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks fast or 1 week fast, 3-day fast, because anything less than 3 days, for me, it's not fast. That's not fasting. They're just skipping a couple meals. So after the fast, now if you listen to all these gurus who are mostly vegetarians, they say, well, you have to start breaking it slowly with some little soup. Of course you need water. Okay, so it's going to help you to have this stuff. But remember, when you are fasting, your body has shifted itself to the correct position of proper number of mitochondria. Your genes are geared to fat. And now, when you start eating, if you are vegetarian, vegan, or the typical omnivore that eats a little bit meat or more meat, but still with potatoes and pasta, well, if you start bringing, again, carbohydrates, your body has to readjust to carbohydrate. So you cannot just, after several days of not having any carbohydrate and body being now shifted genetically into running on fat, you cannot just bring down a bunch of potatoes in there, because you still have the absorption. So a lot of sugar will come in, but you don't have the flora and fauna anymore for this, because all has shifted. Remember, flora, fauna, intestinal microorganisms adjust to the environment. So if there was nothing there, and then what was going through was basically the residue of oils, of fats, and now you loaded with carbohydrates, your body needs time to adjust. And because of cellular memory, it will adjust rapidly, but not like an explosion. You cannot just from all of a sudden from fat go into pure carb. So the transition is slow. So small amount of carbohydrate. That's why some soup that had vegetables in it or whatever. And steadily increasing. It takes 2-3 days to comfortably start digesting again the wrong food, because you have to again take your system out of normal alignment into the vegetable crap. Now, doesn't matter how long you have not been eating, but if you put some raw meat in a system and raw animal fat, well, you are not offsetting anything. This is how you are calibrated. So you will feel absolutely no difference. So doesn't matter what your diet was before fast. But if you want to break fast easily, break it with eating raw fish, ceviche, or steak tartare, um, or just any kind of meat, bacon, just finely sliced and eat. Don't overdo on fats, because you have not been processing a lot of fat. So your liver also will need a little bit time to adjust to the increased amount of fat coming in through your food. But raw eggs, a piece of bacon, you can do. Steak tartare, carpaccio. All that stuff is fabulous to break fast. Very easy. It's a raw stuff, exactly the same stuff that you have been reprogrammed to during the fast. Not a big deal. Now, if you have been dry fasting, you have to be careful how much water you bring into the body. And remember, you have been urinating. Your level of minerals are down. So breaking dry fast with plain water, you will find it heavy. Can even give you stomach pain. Break with plasma. Much easier. Something that body needs, because again, remember, electroconductivity has to be maintained. So if you just bring water and there are no minerals, your body is going to be forced to shoot it out. So you break in the sweats, you start urinating a lot, and you don't have the real impact of hydration. So you put some salt in your mouth. Again, whenever I mention salt, I mean the original salt, the dehydrated sea water, sea salt, that has not been mangled, manipulated, and definitely not iodized. And you will see that such a water is much easier penetrable, doesn't give you any problems, doesn't create spasms or pain. As food, again, there is no better food to break fast than raw meat, any kind of raw meat. Fish, we say it's easy digestible, but so is the beef. I mentioned, well, I don't know, in video or just in article, my friend Thomas, after his appendix surgery, the next day after surgery, okay, so he didn't pass gas yet. Whenever there is a surgery done on intestines stop contracting. And then we are trained in medical school to wait until gas passes, which means your intestines start moving again. And this can take for a while. So sometimes surgeons are instructed to take bigger piece of intestine out to connect it, that this creates much faster reaction to contractions. I mean, this is stupid stuff. So when Thomas, and he was not eating 1 week before the surgery because of pain that he had. Now there was no pain except, you know, the stitches. And he felt very hungry. Well, Darko, can I eat something? I said, yeah, but has to be raw meat. And he never ate raw meat before. So my wife prepared steak tartare for him. Of course, it's different version of steak tartare because you cannot put inside black pepper, but very finely cut pickles and small amounts just to give a taste, and a couple capers. So she gave him about 200 grams of this, and he ate it one day after surgery. And what happened? Nothing, because this food digests itself by itself and doesn't produce gas. But what happened is it becomes a stimulant. So as he ate it and he felt good, he first ate a little piece, then we waited and he was feeling good and hungry still. So we gave him the rest of the 200 or 300 grams, whatever it was. So he ate it and he was feeling satisfied. And a few hours later, he started moving gas. So his intestines start running because there was stimulant. So whatever we are being told in medical school is contrary to the truth. And because we never experiment, we have a blind faith in cathedra and superiors, we keep dragging the same mistakes forever. And this just proves you that, want to break fast, don't worry about it. Take raw meat, poof, and it's done. So I hope that this helps you a little bit as a lead in this process of fasting. And please stop talking to me about intermittent fasting, because it's not fast whatsoever. It's intermittent eating, or it's delayed eating. You eat only once a day. That's not a fast. You 24 hours not eating anything, okay. Anything else? But if it's 24 hours, well, it has to be longer. Because again, you're eating today at 9 o'clock and tomorrow at 6, you are still eating every day. Fast is when you stop eating for a certain period of time. And in my opinion, minimum is 3 days. Then you are fasting. Anything else, you are just eating less often. Thank you for listening. I hope this is helpful. Love you all.